Yay, we're in. Look at that high energy intro.
Power, 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 excitement and power.
Oh, you're getting good at that. It gives me
Thank you.
tingles. How are you?
I'm okay, man. Yeah. Yeah,
You
we've
see,
had a
that's
very
that's where the listening retention drops off
yeah.
around about that point.
As soon as I start moaning. Our dog's been really ill, which has been very sad. And he's been in and out of hospital. That's why. So I'll take the blame for us missing one or being late on some. But the good news is he's home and he has stopped shitting, which is good in a way, I think, until he explodes. And we're dead happy to have him home, but it's been really stressy and sad. But now we're quite happy, as you can tell from my
Yeah,
voice.
exactly. So the one viewer that did actually make it past the high energy intro has now gone to
Yes, I'm
jump off a
sad about a
bridge.
dog. Sad about a dog.
A dog
Yeah.
we've never met. Yeah.
But no, other than that, I'm good, man. Yeah. We were just saying off air, talking about our subject today. I've changed my work hours. I feel a bit European. Is that the
Yeah.
kind of thing a European person would do? Work
No,
longer and have a day off?
we just don't turn up. We just fuck it, like whatever.
Yeah.
It's strange, actually living in Spain. Like it has changed while I've been here. I've been here for 10 years now. When I first arrived, they used to take like 2 or 3 hour lunch breaks, which is just mental. So it ruins everything because you just can't get stuff done. So people will finish work about 2 o'clock, or they used to, and then they go to have a meal either at a restaurant. It depends what industry you're in. If you're a lawyer, you just finish at 2 o'clock and go and get pissed. But like a lot of people go and have lunch for 3 hours, come back at 5, and then finish at 9, which is a
Wow.
mad day.
Yeah. Well, I'm
Um,
finishing at 6 now. I'm working 8 till 6, which actually it's all right because no one else is in at 8 and no one's there between 5 and 6. So I can just like, I'm
just,
doing
yeah, do nothing.
inverted commas, but yeah, I can do work. But actually, it's been quite useful just catching up on life admin and stuff so far. I've only done it two days. I'm moaning about it like I'm working down a fucking pit.
Well,
But
welcome to the future, because the 4 day working week is on the cards for Europe now, isn't it? It's part of
yeah,
the agenda for a lot of. They've been trialing it here in Spain. They trialed it in Valencia, and yeah, 4 days doing the same amount of hours that you would usually do in 4 days instead of 5. I don't
yeah.
know. I
Well,
think
that's what I'm
it's
doing. Yeah.
yeah.
I'll see how it goes. I don't know. It's getting back a bit late, and I reckon when it gets a bit brighter over here, it'll be all right. Come home in the light. That'd be nice. I've got a
Yeah.
question about European stuff, because you know about that. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go on then.
Am I European
No.
still?
Yeah.
Oh,
Of course you are.
like
Yeah.
I'm, I'm still like on the continent, aren't I?
Yeah,
Of
you're a
Europe. Yeah.
European. You'll never stop being a European
Okay. All right. That's
unless
good.
unless you get residency somewhere else, in which case you have to what's the word that I'm looking for? Reject your Britishness. That's what you have to do if you become a naturalized resident
I'd
in
only do
Spain.
that if I could be a Chinese.
What? You could what? I
But
don't
like,
think I don't think you're allowed to do that. You can't. I don't. I feel like you shouldn't be allowed to do that because you
I'd have
don't
to
even
go
look. You
full
don't
on.
even look a little bit Chinese, and to walk around claiming to be Chinese,
I'd be dead tall in China, I think.
big in China,
Um,
yeah,
yeah.
like
And,
Godzilla.
for our
Stupid.
Chinese fans out there, I'm coming like
Watch out!
Godzilla.
He's gonna come and
Yeah.
tell you depressing tales of his terrible 4 day week.
I know. What are we talking about this week, Ben?
We're talking about jobs, jobs. I'm going to do the same joke that I did on WhatsApp. All the types of jobs, the Steve Jobs, blow jobs, the best jobs, the worst jobs, and also I don't know which of those lists these fit into, but your jobs,
Yeah.
because you are the person that I know that has had the most amount of experience or different job titles. That is not experience, actually. Job titles, I say. And I don't know what that means. I don't know what that says about you as a person. If you're either just really good at it, so you get the job done and you just move on in 12 months, or if you keep getting fired, or if you don't really know what you're doing, like the rest of us.
No,
So let's discuss that a little bit. I'm going to put your image up and you can tell us about the first one on your list.
okay.
Um,
I can't remember what it was. I wrote
so
this
it says
down the other.
15. It took me a
That's
while
my
to.
age.
Yeah, it took me a while to work that out, actually. That's why I haven't had many jobs, because I'm not very good with cognitive thinking. Number 15, or 15 years of age, silver service, fired for spilling wine. Go.
Oh yeah, so that was a good one. It was at a place called Beaver Hall or Belvoir, depending on where
How?
you came from.
Depends if you're 15 or not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Beaver. And I went, and I used to get a lift with a fella. I can't remember his name, but he had a Coca-Cola Mini, so that was cool. His Mini was like all Coca-Cola branded. He's dead now. He
Nice.
crashed that
Oh,
car and died in a fiery wreck
I'm sure there's
years later. Nothing
something
to
to
do with
learn.
me. But yeah, so as a silver service waiter, which I don't. Have you ever done that? Like you have to serve food in a ridiculous manner that just makes it
Uh,
awkward. Um, and it was like a wedding venue. This place, so like spotty, greasy teenagers trying to serve, you know, saucy food over people in their nice suits in a ridiculous, old-fashioned way. That's what I had to do. Um, and that bit was all right, really. But then within like a couple of months of being there, I was the longest serving member of floor staff. So they promoted me to head wine waiter. Um, remember, I was 15, so I'm pretty sure that was illegal. Um, but yeah, I maybe the second time out serving a head table at a wedding. Um, I blame her. Yeah, she was above a station being in this like country pyre that I worked in. She was clueless. Um, of the bride I'm talking about, and
The bride.
and and I went round the side of her, um, red or white, madam, red or white, and you know that's how cheap these people were. They only had red or white, you know, and
Yeah.
anyway, red, please. And as I went to pour it, she lifted her glass towards where I was pouring it. And the neck of the bottle hit her glass, and red wine went all down her dress.
Oh
Um,
man.
I'm not sure that's exactly why I got fired. I don't think that's a
What you
fireable offence.
hmm.
But when she started having a go at me, and I think I called her like a fat bitch, and stormed off. That's probably more why I got fired than the actual spilling. Um,
I don't
yeah,
know.
that was the end of that.
Spilling red wine down a bride's presumably white wedding dress.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's probably a sackable offence. I've never done silver service, but my sister did. I didn't do it because I wasn't old enough, but I was allowed to handle money for some reason, and I just stole it because I was only like 13 at the time. I wasn't even legally allowed to be working there. At this, it's probably quite similar to where you're working, like a big manor house in Nebworth, where I grew up.
Oh,
Um, and yeah, we did a couple of events, and I just found that nobody was like kind of responsible for me, and I was working on this stall selling these cakes or something, and I was like, I don't have to. If when somebody gives me £20, I've got two options. I can just put that in this tin that they've given me that nobody's monitoring, or I can just put it directly into my pocket. So I tried that once, and nothing happened. I didn't get struck by lightning, or I didn't get manhandled into the back of a police car. So I just did that for a bit, but then I got overcome with guilt when I got home, and I was like, I've got like £100, and I don't know what to do with it. I just went and bought some
yeah.
sweets, I
And
think.
also, you're 13. What do
Yeah,
you do with a
I just
hundred
bought a load
quid?
of sweets. I put like too many sweets, and then I got paranoid because I thought my mum would be like, "Where'd you get all those sweets from?" Um, so that was like the beginning and end of my life of crime. I
Mm.
wasn't very good at being a criminal. Criminal. There we go. That was my first job. Right. We'll come back to your jobs later. Um, it's a pretty shoddy job to have, isn't it? Silver service, but I think it's something a lot of people go through as a kind of rite of passage as a
Yeah,
teenager.
I think
Um,
the service industry is something everyone should bloody do. Like, if I go to a restaurant and I get good service, I'll like tip and stuff. Uh, I don't know. What do you do in Spain? Do you have to tip? It's like a service thing,
no, man, it's
no?
not
Or
even
is it the
like
opposite?
they almost insulted if you tip. They're like,
Oh,
"What?
really?
Are you? You're not my real dad. What are you doing? Take your money back. I don't want you to throw it in your face."
But
It's-
I think over here I notice good service, but also having worked in service, I notice bad service, and I'm not afraid to complain about it because
Hmm.
people have complained about me, and
Okay.
it embarrasses everyone I'm with.
Well,
But yeah,
this is a big difference between the UK and Spain because customer service, I think, in the UK is kind of an expectation, and I feel like as the customer, you do have a certain amount of I don't know
right?
rights,
Yeah,
and you can complain, and complaining, depending on the establishment, can make a difference. But here in Spain, it's like if you get bad service and you complain about it, like yeah, what? They literally do not give a shit. It's an extraordinary experience going into a bar for the first time because you kind of had that expectation of being served by somebody and that there's some kind of system of fairness taking place. Like the people on your side of the bar know who's next in line, so they're not going to jump in front of you. And the people on the other side of the bar are monitoring who's next in line, so they make sure that you get served. But no, if you don't go in there and go, "Excuse me," just like shout at the person behind the bar.
oh
Not
yeah,
even,
I
not even
noticed that.
excuse me. You just shout your order, even if they're in the
Yeah,
middle of serving someone else. You just shout what you want. That's the way to get served in Spain. But if you just stand there patiently waiting, you're going to starve to death. There's, yeah, customer
mm.
service. That is on my list of worst jobs in the world.
Oh god, yeah.
Customer service, stroke. I'll put them all together in a package. Customer service, telemarketing, and telesales.
Mm.
I've done it. I can't remember if it's on your list or not. I worked
Uh,
for a bank selling the later illegal PPI or payment protection insurance, as it
did
is
you?
also known. Yeah, I did that in Leeds. I worked in a call center for about 4 months before I had just a panic attack every day for like a week and an attack of conscience. It was awful, and I was really bad at selling it as well because a lot of elderly people called up because it's a scam. It's a scam. You had this sticker on your card that said, "Please call to activate your card." It's a bloody bit of how do you activate a piece of plastic?
Yeah,
So people call up, and it was just a sales pitch. And I used to get a lot of elderly people because most people just rip the sticker off and go whatever.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
had a really strange experience with this elderly lady who her husband had recently died, and she just started pouring her heart out to me. And
Oh.
my nan had recently died as well, and I started talking to her about that. She read me a poem. She went and got a poetry book, and it was like such an intensely emotional conversation. And at the end, she said, "Oh, you sound like such a lovely little man." Little man, she called me
Yeah,
little man.
yeah.
She knew I was small just from the sound of my
Video
voice.
phone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, when she finally left, when she hung up, I didn't sell her anything. I looked over at sometimes the line managers are listening in on calls, and
Yeah,
he
yeah.
was in floods of tears. He was just
Oh,
crying.
that's quite
Yeah.
nice.
And but I quit after that. I couldn't do it. But I went and bought the book. She recommended this book to me. It was the Omar of Khayyam. No, oh, is that it? The Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam is a very old Moorish poem, long poem.
I mean, she sounded nice. No, I just think she's probably up her own arse.
Yeah.
Her
Have you?
fancy books. Have I read it? No, Ben.
No.
Don't
Have you
even
read?
ask
You
me.
not read that? Oh God.
No.
Jesus. Rabai of
Don't really.
Mark I Am. I found a copy of it in a charity shop, but I'd never heard of it before, and I found it in a charity shop about a week afterwards. I was like, oh, I've got to buy that. It was like a limited edition as well. It was the exact edition that she told me to buy.
Uh,
But yeah, there you
oh,
go.
that's quite nice.
Spooky.
That's a
Customer
nice.
service, I feel terrible for anyone that has to do it. It's a good experience, but it is soul destroying, and you know, you have to have these really intense and false conversations where the
Mm,
ultimate goal is to convince somebody to buy something that that the reason they're on the phone with you at that moment is not to buy a limited edition of 12 dictionaries um, with the fake leather binding. They're there because they think that they have to speak to you, but they don't, and
mm.
that sucks. That's why it's one of the worst jobs in the world.
Well, I did do it. If you flip back to my list, uh, I think I was 21 or something like that, and on the list,
Oh
it
yeah,
it sounds a bit grander. I think it says track day salesperson
yeah,
at
22.
Silverstone, and that sounds grand, doesn't it?
Yeah, it
Yeah, I used
does.
to sell like track days, racing days. It wasn't that grand. Basically, we were part of Silverstone, a company called what is it called? Red Flag or some shit. I
Red
don't know.
flag sounds
No,
about right.
Daytona,
Yeah.
Daytona,
All right.
Daytona Racing, and we're so we had a little go kart track at Silverstone and like a little mini sort of where you could take like F3s out, and that was quite cool. Like every now and again, I'll get to play on stuff, but the rest of the time, I was sat in Milton Keynes in what I can only describe as a circus tent by a manky go kart track with a load of like just the most miserable salespeople in the world. And we had like there were like a system of management, and there were like six of them. But then there was just me and Barry. But all these six people were managing, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, we don't need managing. But me and Baz used to get like so bored because it was a lot of cold calling. You'd literally go through the yellow pages. This is
Hmm.
how long ago it was,
Oh man.
and fucking find a company and ring them and go, "Oh, do you have an events officer?" No, of course they don't. They don't have anyone doing that. So you try and get through to someone and go, "Oh yeah, I'm calling from Silverstone. Do you maybe want to come and drive some cars around the track as a like team building day?" Blah 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 blah. And sometimes they'd shock me and go yes, and I at that point I didn't know what to do, so I'd say I'm just going to pop you on hold now. But we didn't have that function on the phones. We didn't have any way of putting anyone on hold, so I'd just cover the thing. And then one time Barry goes, "Yeah, I'll be there in a sec. Just like play some music." And I was like, "What do you mean, play some music?" He goes, "With your mouth." And so I just took my hand back off the receiver and it said, "Do do do." I made a little tune down my phone, and this became like a little game where me and Barry, when we were bored, and we make up like jingles, and it'd be like Daytona, feel the speed, we'll fuck your face, and then like, and then like just drop like a swear word in or whatever, and then immediately go click, hello, yeah, it's Richard,
There's
and
no way. I don't believe that you can do that and make it sound like it's not just somebody pissing around. Do it now.
oh, no,
Do it
no,
seriously.
I couldn't do it.
Do
That
a
was the
mouth jingle.
point.
There's
No,
no.
I
That
can't
sounds
do
like an absolute mentalist.
it.
That
I
sounds.
think the point was we just really didn't give a fuck. Um, so yeah, it was quite a soul destroying job. But I wasn't there very long. I wasn't there very long at all.
Well, you're lucky
Thankfully.
because I'm gonna bounce into some historically terrible jobs because we think that we have it bad nowadays, but at least we're not dying of toothache or whatever. I'll
Mm.
give you the title of this historical job, and you tell me what you think it is. Groom of the stool.
Oh well, it's gonna be poop, isn't it? A
It is
butt wiper.
it is poop related, and butt wiper is not a bad description of this. I didn't draw this, but luckily somebody on the internet had enough time to do this quite intricate sketch of your uncle getting his backside cleansed. Um, there he is, old Henry VIII, that we spoke about in our last episode about the worst couples in history. Yeah, that's that guy on the left there. He's the groom of the
Why is
stool.
he? Why is he pondering? Like, you must realise at this point you've fucked up.
He's pointing at where it needs to go. Surely he's done it more than once. He must know by now. If you have to tell somebody where to wipe, I mean, I don't think they're cut out for the job. They're not taking it seriously enough. Um, but yeah, no, it was a very important role. It was brought in by Henry VII, and check this out. This is
Oh,
mental.
pervert!
It wasn't abolished until well, it was abolished by Edward VII, which was in 1901. Which
Wow,
I feel that's quite recent. I feel that's too recent for to have
it's like
somebody.
grandparent.
Yeah, we're still getting their butts wiped by another person as an adult. Um, but yeah, they were the only person that was allowed to go into the monarch's toilet, and the job was more than just sticking a rag on a stick up somebody's ass. You also had to. They had a special toilet that had like a shelf on the interior, like the Japanese, because they had to check out the the output.
What?
Yeah, it was very important to see like their bowel movements, if like they were healthy, and
Oh
because they
yeah,
had a lot of problems.
they used to basically read poo, didn't they? I
Yeah, yeah,
believe
yeah.
that you could tell how well someone was. A bit like
Which
those two old ladies came back, didn't they? Well, no, it wasn't two old ladies. It was just one old lady. She was on like I'm a Celebrity, and she was shit at everything. She just kept pretending to pass out, and she claimed she was a doctor, but she was like Dr. Dre or Dr. Fox. She didn't really have a PhD, but she had like a career in British TV, going around checking people's poo, and like then
Fecology.
going, well, I don't think it's a real science. Like, but she'd say, "Ooh, I can tell you've got a brain tumor
Yeah,
from that
you're
little lump of poo." No,
you're
you
low
can't.
in calcium.
Not from looking at it. At least taste it.
I mean, dude, I think sometimes I've been in the toilet after you, and the smell. I mean, like I can tell that you're wrong on the inside. I
Not
don't. Not
recently.
recently. Now you've cleaned up your act and your
Yeah.
insides, literally. But in the past, I was like, is he just eating other people's shit? Because it's coming out the other end. Is just a medley. Um, but yeah. Anyway, it was a very unpleasant job, but it was considered one of the most prestigious posts in the kingdom. They were quite. I suppose it's kind of like a reward for doing literally a shit job. They had quite a good status, a good position. They were well thought of. They were well treated by their peers, or at least to their face. I'm sure behind their backs they were like, shit
Yeah.
fiddler. Um,
Your dad wipes people's asses.
it was.
Yes, but my dad gets paid for doing it. Yours doesn't.
He does it for a hobby. They had a lot of political influence. They had the ear of the king, so they did actually. It's extraordinary to think that the person who wiped the king's ass did actually have some influence on what was happening in the state. So
Well, I don't know.
there you
You look
go.
at Biden.
Yeah, yeah. He must have somebody wiping his ass. If yeah,
Yeah.
there's no doubt about that. Anyway, have you had any jobs where you've had to clean somebody's ass? Back to your list here. It's
You know what? I have missed one. I've missed loads. Looking at the list. So I'm trying to think how old I
golf
was. So
ball collector. Jeez.
golf ball collector was
It,
an absolute favourite. I love that. Do you want to hear about that?
yeah,
That
go
was at
on.
a golf range, and I was 16. Um, and again, they didn't give a fuck. They were lovely people.
Oh,
Well, set up and run the bar, and they knew I was 16. but also like going out collecting golf balls. I used to get to drive around in this old Land Rover with like a sort of trolley on the back of it, and it would pick up the balls, and it was brilliant. And I remember like previously
What?
when me and
Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. I'm no groom of the stool, but this doesn't smell right. You're driving around in a Land Rover at 16, and
yeah,
you're managing a bar. Like,
yeah, yeah, both things were happening, not simultaneously, but one after the other. I they didn't have a bar at this golf range. It's at a golf range. I'm not sure I made that clear. A golf range,
yeah,
like
if you were
a place where
collecting
you
golf
can,
balls at somewhere that wasn't related to golf, I'd be a little
yeah,
bit
yeah,
surprised.
just randomly hoping to find a golf ball. No, and well, they didn't have a bar, and then I said, "Oh, I reckon I could set a bar up for
I'm a
you."
bar.
And,
I can be the
okay.
bar.
And we went, yeah, all right, you do that, do all the ordering and run the bar. But in between, like when people weren't in the bar, I'd go out in the Land Rover. That was the better bit. Surprising that coming from me. But it was really good fun. And previously, when I'd gone down as a punter to go on the golf range, you'd always aim at the Land Rover collecting the balls. And it was weird for some reason, just by the accelerator, they'd cut a hole in like the paneling. So like where your shin was, there was like a maybe 4x5 rectangle for absolutely no reason, just a bit of bodywork missing in a rectangle. And the amount of times that every time you'd go out, a ball would come fucking flying through there and smack you on the shin. It was uncanny. I remember Barbie. It was quite good fun because I got to start drinking.
Yeah, I can see
So that was,
where that's starting to feel a little bit like a therapy session. I mean, there's definitely some dots to join together here.
mm,
That sounds like a great job. I'm going to follow that up with another great job. In fact, I think that this is considered the best job of all time, um, or certainly, well, yeah, I'd say of all time. It kind of got trending during COVID, and I think it was so popular because of the situation during the pandemic. A lot of people locked indoors. People were yearning for being outside, and all of that stuff. And there was an article about this position. I don't know if you saw it. You probably heard about it. The job is the island caretaker.
oh yeah, I've seen these before. There's not just one
No, there's
island.
not just one. They're all over the place. The one that was advertised during the pandemic was, it was like
So
really sought after.
Shetlands or something.
Yeah, there was another one in the Shetlands, but there was one that was in like a tropical island part of the Pacific, and it was literally just like a paradise island that
Wow.
it was only inhabited like a couple of months a year, and the job involved. Well, I'll read you some of the response. What do you think? What do you think you have to do as a private island caretaker?
Um, Pick up cigarette butts off the beach.
That's probably yes,
They'd only
yes.
be yours, though, wouldn't they?
Syringes, used condoms. Um, yeah. No, you
Flotsam
could.
and jetsam stuff. Is that the right words? Did
Yeah,
I use the right
yeah,
words?
yes.
Things that wash up.
But
You
do
have
you
to.
know the difference between flotsam and jetsam?
No, no, of course not. Uh, one floats and one sinks.
It's organic material or inorganic material. I think it's
Oh,
something.
okay.
It's related to uh, if there is like from a boat from a shipwreck.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
I
Yeah.
can't remember which is which though now. Actually, I
Is
asked
that
that.
one of the duties? So picking up crap off the
Yeah,
beach.
you got to care for the plants, the animals. You got to look after the houses, clean all the garbage. Yeah, the payment of bills and settling tourists. But the one in particular that was advertised during COVID, it was like a really good salary. I think it was over 100,000 a year.
Wow.
That's in dollars, but still, like you know, and you're just getting paid to live on a luxury island where people would actually pay to go and spend some time. And also, the great thing about that is that you're not going to spend any of your money, are you? You're just getting 100k in the bank
Hmm.
because there aren't any shops or casinos. Um, You don't have to have any kind of education or experience. So we could do. I don't know. Let's just apply. I think just do it, man.
Well, we're very lucky. We're going to Mauritius, which
Hmm.
looks a little bit like that, for our honeymoon. And one of the things that sold Sharon on it was, like in Greece or some of the Balearic Islands and stuff. When you go to a hotel, there's just like loads of cats, aren't there? They
Yeah.
all want they all want your chips and stuff. Well, in Mauritius, it's not cats; it's dogs, just hundreds of stray dogs.
Hmm.
But the hotel we're staying at employs 2 people just to look after the stray dogs, which I think is.
You're not coming back, are you? Is
Well,
this your way of telling me that you're going away to live on an island and not never coming back?
I think what's more likely is we're coming back with a dog, which would just be the world's most expensive fucking dog.
Yeah, good
Again,
luck getting that through
um,
customs.
yeah.
Have you ever had a job similar to an island caretaker?
Hmm. Let me think. I
Let's
don't
have a
know.
look at your list. I'm looking at
Let's
your
have a look
list.
at my list, and I'll make some sort of tenuous link somehow.
What's HOF? What's HOF? What's HOF?
That was
Like,
House of Fraser. That was a horrible job. I used to walk in there. I sold watches. Uh, how have you ever been in a House of Fraser?
yeah, they don't exist anymore, do they? I thought they went bankrupt.
Well, I mean, this was a long time ago, Ben. Um,
Yeah.
but they're all like little shops within a shop. And I worked on a watch counter. I think if we sold one watch a month, we were doing pretty well. Um, it was the most boring job in the world. Apart from the shoplifters, they were good fun because it's all posh stuff in House of Fraser. So it was quite good fun trying to spot them. Um, I remember almost. Oh no, I can't say that. Um,
You got to say it
um,
now.
uh, no, I shouldn't say that. Uh, I remember almost being gassed every time I went in there by the amount of perfume
Oh
that
God,
was
yeah.
in the air. Like
I
you,
hate
I'd
that.
walk in, I'd just like start coughing my guts up. And I thought when I got the job, oh, it's just like working in a shop. Uh, but it wasn't. They had all these stupid rules where you'd have to like go in a certain door. You couldn't walk in the main door like a punter. We had to be separated, like the servants that we were. And because everything was expensive in there, uh, like I think people who actually bought stuff were quite well off, but a bit dickheady
Hmm.
about it, and so they treat you like proper serfs. So I didn't enjoy it, and obviously I was hammered every time I went in. So I remember once. And I was really hungover, and also there was a party that afternoon that I wanted to go to. So I deliberately sort of fell down some stairs onto
You
my
mean
face.
you threw yourself down some stairs?
Yeah, a little bit, and then went in with like this big welt on the side of my head. Said,
You never guess what's
"Oh,
happened.
I've had an accident."
I've thrown myself. I mean, I've fallen down some stairs.
Yeah. And they said, "Oh God, no, you shouldn't work. You look awful." I went, "Oh yeah, I'll just go home. Oh, I think I'll survive." And they sent me home, so that was quite good. It was a rubbish job, and the woman who was my boss, she was an idiot, but she really loved her job. She just knew everything about these 15 watches maybe that we were selling on this tiny counter, and that was her entire life. Oh, and then she got fired for like stealing money, so that was quite fun, but that
Well,
was after I'd left.
that's one thing that actually, because I've been asking my students this week about jobs to kind of prepare myself for this episode, and one of the questions was, do you think that the working world or working life is better or worse nowadays than it was in the past? I don't know. Let's say 50 years ago. At one point, I think even in recent history, just in your list, your timeline, is that I think both of us have been very lucky because of the lack of social media. Because nowadays they go on your social media profiles. They want to find out what you like in your free time, and I think we'd both be fucked if Instagram and Facebook was a big thing, like 20 years ago. Especially that example that you just gave then, like you throw yourself down some stairs and then you're at a party like 4 hours
Yeah,
later,
yeah,
getting your
that'd be
photo
online. Yeah,
taken.
yeah.
They're going to find out. They're going to know.
I think I learned pretty quickly never to add anyone that I work with on Facebook,
Hmm.
um, or certainly not until I'm well settled in or on my way out. Um, but yeah, it must be difficult now. Like, yeah, we've talked about it, haven't we? Like cancel culture. You say something stupid 20 years ago, um, albeit wrong and stupid, but an employer can look at that. I
Yeah.
mean, my social media, my main one is completely locked down because of the job that I do. I can't have my fucking
Hmm.
clients finding me, man. It's like, yeah, they'll show up at the house asking for a spare bed, and can't be doing that. But yeah, certainly in the past, I think I probably did get into a bit of trouble
I'm
every now
lucky
and again.
enough to have said all of and done all of this the stupid stuff live in the real world where it
Yeah, yeah.
can't be remembered or recorded except by the people who are there to experience it, and most of them are dead now anyway, so it doesn't matter. Not by my hand, mind. Anyway, talking about comparing the past, um, do you think that do you think we work more than they our ancestors? Let's say 50 years ago, 60 years ago. Do you think we work?
Nah,
Do you think we work harder? Do you think we work less?
I mean we were less. I think it was a lot easier jobs, aren't there? Like
Hmm.
basically 99% of the country were doing something manual and physical and horrible. Um, and yeah, it's a bit like that episode we were talking about university. 1% of people went to university and got like jobs where you don't have to get your hands dirty. I never understand what like blue collar and white collar is. Blue collar is like manual, is it? And white
Yeah.
collar is like doctor or something.
It's just yeah, people that think they're slightly better than other people. Nowadays,
Mm,
blue collar would be in the factory and white collar would be in the office, and they're not that different, to be perfectly honest. You're both doing the same
okay,
thing,
no,
more or less.
pretty menial stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Did we were no? I imagine 50 years ago, 100 years ago, people had to work a lot harder.
Yeah, I think
And
so. I'd say our circumstances are a lot better in a lot of different ways, but it is true that I think that we are more challenged by the desire to have a purpose. Like because of social media, we're constantly challenged with this idea that everybody else is having a better time than us. And in the
mhm,
past, it didn't matter. Nobody cared. It's like you work in a mine, and so does your neighbor, and so does all of your family. So it's not really anything to. You're not worried about how how you appear to others and your quality of life in comparison to other people. It doesn't. I suppose it wasn't really an issue. Um,
mm.
so I don't know. There's a more of a superficial challenge nowadays. But yeah, like the value in your work. I think that's one of the most important things is to be doing something that you feel makes a difference. And a lot of work just doesn't, does it? You're just making money for other people. So
No, listen. I think money is super important. I wouldn't do my job for free. There's people in my position, with my life experience that do a job like I do, and for the first year or so, they'll go, "Oh yeah, I'll do this job for free," and you can't help but get jaded in whatever job you're in.
yeah,
I do enjoy it, and I enjoy it a lot more than a lot of jobs that I've had. Um, but you gotta get paid, man. You gotta get paid for what you do. We're just coming up because I'm on the a thing called the Agenda for Change pay
hmm.
scale, which is the NHS pay scale. And last year, I was like quite happy. Like we got a pay rise. I was like, hey, that's great. But people were like striking and all sorts. I'm sure you heard about it.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, I can't go on strike because I'm not an actual like doctor or nurse. I've got no like medical skill. Um, but for whatever reason, I'm on the same pay scale as these people, uh, doing a slightly different job. But we're coming up to that point again. It's that time of the year when approaching April, where uh, the government say, "Oh, we'll give you cost of living increase or whatever." And for me, like I say, I'm not that bothered. Yeah, I'm pretty lucky. I've done okay for myself. I've got some savings and whatnot. But I'm what they call a band six. Now, like a band one, which is the guy who goes around the wards emptying out like the what do you call them, potty things.
The slop buckets,
Yeah, yeah, that poor
the
bastard.
bed chamber, the chamber
He's
bed. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, he's doing all that, and like, that's not the worst of it. He's clearing up all sorts of bodily fluids and solids and semi-solids, and when if someone gets squished, someone has to clean that up. You know what I'm
mm,
saying?
mm,
And he's getting paid a pittance. He's getting paid like 18 grand a year, and he's doing a fucking horrible job.
yeah,
Absolutely deserves more money. Um, so this is what we're approaching now in terms of our current pay situation. Me personally, I'm not that bothered. I think I get paid fairly, but people on the same band as me that deal with a lot more horrific, visceral, in your face, horrible shit absolutely deserve more, and that's the nurses. Doctors, they do all right in my opinion.
mm.
Well, one of my gripes about my current job, I don't have many because I love it. If anyone's listening, um, is so I have to pay for parking. Right, we have a little car park, and to go to work, to park for a day costs me £10 English. The doctors and that, who are on hundreds of thousands of pounds, get free parking. That
Yeah.
annoys me. Give us some parking, you
That
bastards.
that
I've
reminds
told
me.
them that to their faces.
That reminds me of a quote from my favourite film, which is With Nail and I. Have you seen With Nail and
You
I?
do love that film. I
I love
think I
that
have. I
film.
think you've made me watch it.
When he gets the key to the cottage, he says, free to those who can afford it, very expensive to those who can't."
Yeah.
I think that's a kind of the way that society is set up. With that in mind, and with your anecdotes in mind, what do you think a tosher does?
I've no idea. I'd I'd hazard a guess. I imagine it is something to do with throwing something.
There's a tosher doing some toshing. Now look at that absolute tosher on screen right now. A tosher
What is
is
he doing?
he's a sewer hunter, or a
Nice.
a sewer trawler. Tosh is a slang term for junk or rubbish. And in Victorian
A turd
London,
goblin.
yeah, if you want, yeah. In Victorian London, they used to go down into the sewers, and they made a life of trawling through the sewers, looking for valuables that had been lost. So things that might have been accidentally, I don't know. How can you accidentally?
Flush.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
flush a toilet down the flush a gold watch down the toilet. Well, did they have toilets? I don't know. That's another.
Well,
But
no, but like I don't know if you're unlucky enough that you don't have your own personal arse wiper, and you
yeah,
go to wipe your arse and a ring falls off. I suppose that's like a
it can
gold
happen.
mine to
Yeah,
these guys, isn't
that's
it?
literally what they're looking for. It was illegal, and basically, they spent the whole day ankle deep in that stuff that you were just talking about, and a lot of people made a living out of it. Grubbers could be found doing something similar in drains, so that's where you get the word grubber from. I
I
think
saw
it's
something recently of people panning in New York City.
hmm,
So they, like the cracks in the pavement and
yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
and
yeah.
where the curb meets the road or whatever, there's a little gap. They'd like dig out the dirt from in there and like pan it or like do something or like do magnets on it. And they were finding like tiny little diamonds that had fallen out of a ring.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't do it for nothing, do you? Obviously, somebody at some point has found something of value. Otherwise, people wouldn't be attracted to spending their days ankle deep in other people's shite in a
Mm.
dark tunnel with a candle, which they use candle. It must be dangerous because there must be a lot of methane down there. But I wonder if it ever exploded. Um,
I'd hope so.
anyway, talking about that, let's bounce back to your list. Which one of your jobs is similar to being ankle deep in shit?
Most of them, I
Not
think.
all of them.
Oh man, I think there's one on there, Simpster. That was the chart. That was my first sober job, like proper job.
Oh,
I was doing marketing, so it's the Chartered Institute for the Management of Sports, professional something. I can't really.
athletes
No, it wasn't athletes. We didn't manage athletes. Uh, I can't remember. Someone look it up if you're interested.
association.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds. Yeah, professional association. Yeah, I should remember. That was interesting. I fell asleep just before the interview at home, and so I was like, "Fuck!" And Mum, bless her, I ran downstairs all upset. It was a decent paying job at least, uh, and so I was an hour and a half late for the interview. Uh, I was a bit nervous, like being a newly sober man and trying to get back into work. And they took me into this boardroom, and at this point, uh, like I was like, oh, I don't know about this. And then I started calling everyone sir, and I called the CEO sir. She was a gay lady with short hair
Yeah.
and very long earlobes, I remember. And at that point, I just thought, fuck it, I haven't got this job. And they showed me this presentation,
Hmm.
and they said, "Oh, we're rebranding. We'd like you to critique this." And I just ripped it to shit. like I just thought, "Oh, I'm not getting this job." And like it was going to be called Sim Sap, which I thought I'd said. I mean, that sounds a bit sappy. Like
Hmm.
that's rubbish. And then I started swearing because the only setting I'd been in like that in the last sort of 6 months were NA meetings where
Yeah.
everyone F's and Jeffs all the time. And I went, all right, yeah, thanks at the end, and sort of went
See you
home. And
later,
yeah,
wankers.
they offered me more money than was advertised, which was
Wow.
lovely of them. But then I quickly realised that it was just it was a
The
bit
wrong
like working
the wrong
for
interview. You were in the wrong
yeah, I
wrong
went to
job.
the wrong place. No, it was part of Simspa's remit was to get rid of sexual abuse, bullying, paedophiles, all this stuff in sport, um, and they were failing massively. And I sort of I quickly realised it was my job to try and put a positive spin on their failings at doing this, as like their head of comms or whatever it was. It
Wow.
was a 6 month contract, and also I had the worst boss there, man. His name was Christian or something. His name was Christian Anderson, which I thought was funny. Um, oh, I shouldn't have said that. Never mind. He was a
No.
prick.
Yeah.
And he was head of comms, and I was like just below him, and he he refused to speak to people, and
What?
we had like he sat opposite me, and there was like one of those sort of dividers, but like I could see we could see each other's eyes. You know, it was
Hmm.
just like the height of our noses. I go, oh, Chris, can I just? You go, email me. I'm like, what?
Jesus Christ.
And he had some sort of tism,
Hmm.
definitely, and it was just horrible. And at the end of the 6 months, they offered me a contract extension. I said no, and sort of shook their hand and left, and went to an NA meeting where I'd been moaning about him for the last 6 months, and everyone was like, "Did you hit him? Did you?" No, I just shook his hand, but then I sort of wish I had hit him. I used to see him all the time because he used to get the bus. The man said I wasn't allowed to drive at the time, so I had to get the bus as well. So I'd sit like opposite him on the bus and put my headphones on. And I remember telling my friend Jerome about this, who was my sponsor at the time. So yeah, I put my headphones on. I put some dirty NWA, like really aggressive rap. I just stare at him, and Jerome goes, bet he thinks you're fucking mental.
Yeah.
No, and not in a scary way. So I did that for ages. But that was horrible. That felt like wading through shit all the time, and not very honest. That was marketing job. That was one of my last marketing jobs. So I decided that was all very dishonest business, and I wouldn't
Mm.
work in it anymore.
Marketing. Tough gig,
Mm.
especially if you're selling the failure of an institution in a positive way.
Yeah, it had a royal seal as
Wow.
well. I touched it once and it got
Ooh.
shouted at.
The alarm
I
go
was,
off.
yeah, well, no, it was just like in a box. It was in like a cardboard box, not even like a
Yeah.
wooden display case.
Nice.
I went, oh, what's this? And sort of started poking at it, and it's wax, isn't it? And
Yeah.
yeah, someone came running at me and she's
Melted.
screaming. I was like, well, don't just fucking leave it there like some paperweight. It's going to be fancy.
Yeah, it's
Arseholes.
one heat wave and you've got a royal pool of
Blob.
wax. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, with all of that in mind, what do you think a gong farmer does?
Oh, come on, man. Where are you getting these? I
The,
reckon I've met.
the
I reckon
past.
I've been helping some gong farmers today, I reckon.
I was going to
No,
say you've probably met a few gong
a
farmers.
gong farmer.
Here's a pair of gong farmers on screen from an ancient book about gong farming and how to partake in such an industry. It's
I'm
actually
just waiting for it to come up. I'm right. What
they're
the fuck is it?
also known as nightmen, gong farmers.
Oh, is it human parts?
No, it's I don't know what it is about all of the jobs that I'm presenting, but they all involve
They're all
shit.
shit. Okay.
They are shit and they involve shit. It's before modern drainage. Bodily waste would kind of build up, and like most cities, London had public toilets. In the 14th century, there were 16 public toilets for a population of 30,000. So you can imagine how bad that got. But yeah, enter the gong farmer. This is where the gong farmer comes in. So they're only allowed to work at night, which is why they were also known as nightmen. And they had to dig and take away all of the waste in the cesspits, and they got paid per ton. So they just basically spent all night waist deep in these holes, or up to their neck in just turds. A lot of them died of suffocation and drowning. They suffocated because of the smell, because of the fumes.
Oh yeah,
But then you pass out and just drown in shit. I know. So it's kind of, you get a little bit of perspective on your Christian chap.
Arsehole.
Yeah, what an arsehole.
Do you know, like, I'm sure these sort of jobs exist today, but no one admits to them. We've talked at length about dating, haven't we? And internet dating, for example. Imagine.
Yeah, I'm a gong farmer.
I'm a gong farmer.
What's that? I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, it's good money.
It's good. Yeah.
Why do you smell so bad? Oh,
I don't shower. I don't like to shower. Yeah. Gong farming. It's just extraordinary that a lot of these historical jobs are involved with feces, and just like bottom of the rung. Like nowadays, there are some terrible jobs, but I don't think that there are that many people that have to get involved waist deep in excrement.
I'm sure there are. I like how they give them nice names and they're not just like shit.
Yeah.
Do you remember? You remember Kieran, don't you?
Yeah.
So
of course.
I might have even said this on here before. I'm sorry if I have. But when he'd go out pulling his larger, toothless, one-eyed ladies, one of his chat-up lines was, bet you don't know what I do for a living, lovely. And they go, no idea. What do you do? But it's, I'm an underwater ceramic technician, which was a
What?
pot washer. And then we'll go, oh, underwater ceramic technician. That sounds fancy. Do you make a lot of money? Yeah, love, loads of money. Put this in your mouth.
Yeah,
It's so gross.
he's a disgusting man, but lovely. All right, let's talk about where we've been talking a lot about shitty jobs, but where are the best jobs in the world? Where's the best work life balance? You've given me a very nice graph here to take a look at.
Yes, which I stole off of the internet.
Yes, exactly.
And cannot remember what any of it says,
I
so
mean,
I'll have to. But where would you think is the best?
well, I can tell you because I've got the graph on the screen.
Oh yeah, okay. All right. Well, let's have a look at the worst ones. The worst ones are quite.
Oh, you want me to put that? I'll get rid of that
You
and
have
put the worst ones up first.
No,
Oh,
the
did
worst
I?
one is up.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah. Well done.
My eyes are back to front. Yeah, the countries with the
Mexico.
best. Yeah,
Mexico is the worst.
this is we're on the best now. I put the best up.
Oh crap! Okay.
This is a disaster.
Okay. Look at that. Italy is the best. I can understand that. It was a bit. I've worked in Italy a little bit. When I worked for Tops, I had to go out to Milan. That's Italy, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, that's Italy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to have to go there fairly. Yeah, Alitalia, worst airline ever. But I used to have to go there fairly often. You know what you were saying about the long lunches and stuff? Yeah. No one went back to work. You'd finish at like 3, 2:30, go out, eat, and just chat until the evening and then go home. It was lovely. Also, they tend not to do anything in the summer when it's hot. Like, in my experience, like I dealt with a lot of printers out there, and we just went, nah, it's too hot. We're going home, and like we'd just July and August just go home. Like it was great.
I appreciate that attitude. It's quite similar in Spain. Like if it rains here, people are just like, oh no, I'm not going out. You can't expect me to go out if it's raining. And as an Englishman, that is just, I always say to them, that is absolutely astonishing. Like if people in England didn't go outside when it was raining, nothing would ever happen. We'd just all be indoors all the time. Like it's just water. But now I've kind of lent into it, and yeah, I'm surprised to see that Spain is number 4 on that list.
Yeah.
Well, surprised and not surprised. I think the people here do like to take it easy when they can, and I think that's a really healthy way to approach life. Like other places, maybe the UK, for example, I think people live to work a little bit too much, and it's not about that, is it? You've got to make time for yourself, and there's a lot more to do, I think, out in nature in Spain and maybe in Italy as well. People spend more time outside. That's definitely true because it's part of the culture in a warm weather country. I'm surprised to see that kind of sandwich between Italy and Spain, and then you've got the Nordic countries, Denmark and Norway.
Well, they always say, don't they, the quality of life in the Nordic countries
what makes
amazing.
it good, though? I mean, it says at the bottom, working hours... Sorry, go on.
Time for leisure, personal care. But I think those Nordic countries, the governments just really look after the people. Like, if you look at Norwegian council houses, oh my God, they're beautiful. They're really nice communities, and there's no crime there because everyone's actually looked after. And if you're on the dole, then or whatever the Norwegian equivalent is, you've got enough money to live on. You're not scraping. You don't have to go out and resort to do.
I hear they've got the happiest gong farmers in the world in Denmark.
It's quite interesting that all of those European countries, but where is old Blighty in that list?
Not on there. Be seen.
Not in the top 10.
Is it on the other list?
Yeah.
Shall I put the other list up?
Yeah, let's have a look at the other. What could be the worst country ever to work?
Number 1, Mexico. Oh, no.
Yeah, man. But I guess there's just not a lot of work, and that's why, like a lot of Mexicans want to leave Mexico and go somewhere else,
Yeah, look at
but
that. The
that
top
big ginger
three,
man won't let them. Yeah,
top three are Latin American countries.
yeah,
That's nuts. I would have thought. You always associate it with a kind of, I don't know, like a carefree, um, especially like Costa Rica. Costa Rica's beautiful. A lot of people go there for the vacations. Oh well, and Colombia as well.
yeah. I don't think they're particularly well off countries.
I
Maybe
a
that has something
lot
to
of
do.
that's got to do with drug trafficking, though, isn't there? There's a lot of narcos and the drug crime and
Yeah, I suppose
all
if
this
if,
stuff.
if
Like
your only job is to be in one of them
yeah,
cartels, then yeah, like you don't often reach retirement age, do you?
no.
Fucking hell. Uh, bless them. But then yeah, like South Africa, I imagine that's pretty shit to work in. South Korea, probably better than North Korea, I'd have thought, but who
Hmm.
knows? Um, and then United States and United Kingdom, it's crap, isn't it? That
Yeah.
like the two biggest countries have like pretty shitty work-life balances. I don't know. I don't know really what it is. Are we just chasing the dollar or the pound, or in your case, the euro?
The
Um, but I don't know. I don't know. I think
I
a
I
lot of
think
people end up like you, don't they? Like working for yourself. And
yeah, I think in the US, it's the American dream has destroyed the way that people they're culturally inclined towards working their way into freedom, which doesn't make
mm,
sense. It's a complete paradox. Like, and they work a lot. They don't take holidays. They work at least like 50 hours a week, which is that's normal there. It's like normal to do that.
mm.
It's not healthy. It's just
Hardly
constantly
any holiday either
yeah,
in the US. I remember chatting
no
to someone. Oh,
holiday, and I think this is true in the UK as well. That people dream of retirement. Like the goal is to enjoy your freedom when you get to the end. So you
oh
literally
man,
just,
I'm
do you know what I mean? Like but that's like a cultural idea that is kind of bred into you that
yeah, yeah,
you work for the middle part of your life. Like you grow up as a kid, as a teenager, you're safe. Then you're an adult and you just grow. You work, sorry, and then you retire. And by the time you're retired, it's like you're knackered. You're not interested in
yeah,
the same things that you were when you were younger that you dreamt about. Maybe you've got some disposable income. Maybe not. It depends what happens. A lot of people end up having their pensions stolen. Um, but it's like just a miserable way to spend your very limited time here on Earth. Like I think that's probably why they're on the list. I think it's different reasons for the Latin American ones. That's just about standard of living. It's not about quality of life.
mm.
I'm surprised to see Japan in there though. I think that's probably a little bit about their social isolation and lack of leisure. They don't really
I feel yeah,
socialize.
Japan is a very sort of symbiotic country, isn't it?
Mm.
They sort of consider themselves one, and everyone has their part to play, but you have to play that part like for 18 hours a day.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
yeah, when you look at Japan, they have like those mini hotels and stuff that people can go and sleep in for like 4 hours in between work shifts. I bet there's people that work full time but don't even have a house. They just like go
Oh
into
yeah,
one of
no,
those little pods and then
for
go back
sure.
to work. And it seems like quite a robotic sort of life, but I don't really think rebelling against that's particularly encouraged, is it, or
No,
accepted in
it's.
Japan?
I think like that symbiotic, that concept's quite accurate because like they have to play the role of a businessman. If you're like, and they
Mm,
all wear the same suit, and you have to be. When you have to go out for drinks and socialize, it's like forced socializing. Yeah, and
yeah,
you
you're
have to
nuts.
drink. They drink a lot as well. They have
Yeah, yeah,
a
yeah.
problem with that. But yeah, it's maybe it's related to that. I suppose there's just a lack of just going back to the best work-life places. For example, like you say, here in Italy and Spain, people just spend a lot more time outdoors and they value their free time. It's just like I don't know many people that will go out of their way to do overtime. It's like no,
No.
I want to go spend time with my kids or go to the mountains or whatever. It's a
Yeah.
completely different mentality. I suppose it's a cultural thing.
Mm.
The French, they don't work anyway. They're just revolting. And when I say revolting, I mean revolting. Um, no offense to the French. Everybody's allowed to have a go at the French. That's a European standard. We all agree
Okay.
on that. And the Germans there as well. Oh, they're hard workers, but I think they,
Rigidly stick to
yeah.
relaxing.
Now
Like,
is the time for relaxation. I did a German accent. That was a German one.
it's beautiful.
It's good, isn't it?
Hmm. But to be honest, though, speaking of work-life balance, yeah, I want to go and spend some time with my family.
Oh right, okay, yeah, okay, yeah. You better go do that.
I thought that
Otherwise,
was a nice segue. I don't know. What have we learned? Have we learned anything? Don't
I,
work too hard. Like
yeah,
try hard so you don't go back in time and have
yeah.
to shovel shit.
Don't be a tosher, and don't listen to any of the rubbish advice that people give you. Like, oh, do something that you love and you'll never work a day in your life. Rubbish. You will. There'll be days when you wake up and you think, oh my God, I do not want to get out of bed. But you have to do it anyway because the bills aren't going to pay themselves. So everybody just get on with it and stop complaining.
Yeah, but do it for as short a time as possible.
Yeah. Look after yourselves, everybody. Right, I'll let
Right.
you go spend some time with your family. And I hope Buster's feeling better soon.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'll get him to call you.
All right, thanks. Oh, okay,
Cheers,
love
buddy.
you.
Love you, bye.
Bye, 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 bye.
Medically understood.